leave the present one. That was a fast, wasn't it? Making the comparison to the autumn season to going to the spiritual world. Nice image of the rainy season. The people in general are advised to not leave home during the 4 months of the rainy season. After the rainy season, merchants have freedom to go out and perform their respective duties, and by doing so, they can achieve the results they desire. And the marketplace where merchants are doing what merchants like to do. Here's a little local merchant, looks pretty happy, had a good season. During the rainy season, dedicated souls like sannyasis cannot freely spread the doctrines of the Vedas. Now you know who that photograph is, Kadamba Kanana Swami. And it's when I created this PowerPoint presentation, I had just heard of his health situation, terminal cancer notice from the medical doctors. And he went to Vrindavan. He did a few things here in the States and then went to Vrindavan, and that's where he is, in Vrindavan. And his health is deteriorating. It's not the rainy season, but he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay in Vrindavan till the end, as far as I understand it. And he is still animated like anything, but his stamina is diminished. He can't go too long, but he leads kirtan to give classes and does things. And then he also doesn't do things as he was doing. So it's just that, winding down. But he's not fearful of death. He's dedicating whatever he has in service to Krishna to the end. Kings cannot go out to tour their states during the rainy season. Students cannot go to their schools, which are closed during the rainy season. In the same way, one cannot achieve the desired results of one's penances until one attains freedom from the present body. Here's that connection again, the leaving the body and the change of season indicating now it's time we can go out and about. He's just making that parallel. The combined work of these 4 sections of society is meant for the general welfare of all living entities, not only humans. So Prabhupada, in the purport, he touches again on Varnashram, divisions of society. It's for everyone, not just humans. And finally, in this section, notice the Ukraine flag. Elevated souls go door to door to enlighten the people. Some of you may not know, but the person who is the regional secretary for the Ukraine is pictured here. Very nice devotee, very compassionate devotee. I know it's very, very difficult for him to watch what's going on, trying to protect the devotees and care for the devotees as best he can. Great soul. Okay, moving on to chapter 47. Here we go. Vedic cosmology and the spiritual world again for a new audience. How is he going to present this to a new audience? The verse is not taken from chapter 20 of Canto 10. It's taken from Brahma Samhita, verse 43. And the way that Prabhupada is rendered, verse 43 of Brahma Samhita goes like this. From the transcendence, we've seen this picture now 7 times. That's up top, that's Krishna Loka shaped like a lotus. From the transcendence, which is called Krishna Loka, there emanates a glowing effulgence that resembles the tail of a comet. Next image is a tail of a comet. The glowing effulgence is unlimited, immeasurable, and unfathomable. Within this effulgence, there are innumerable glowing planets, each of them self-luminous, lots of light. Somewhere, a limited part of that glowing effulgence is covered by material energy, just as a part of the sky is covered by a cloud. Within this material energy, there are innumerable universes. In each universe, there are innumerable material planets, and the Earth is one of these planets. Thus, we can understand what an insignificant part of the entire cosmos is this globe on which we live. From time to time, Prabhupada would discuss that, the tininess of our existence, that existence is at the bottom of the painting, the material creation below the Mahatattva, the cloud of the material energy, etc. Here's the comet image. From the transcendence, which is called Krishna Loka, there emanates a glowing effulgence that resembles the tail of a comet. So the comet is that bright entity on the right side, and this glow that comes trailing behind it, that's the tail of a comet. This glowing effulgence is unlimited, immeasurable, and unfathomable. Again, just same language. Within this effulgence, there are innumerable glowing planets, each of them self-luminous. Again, this is just paraphrasing and simplifying verse 43 of Brahma Samhita. A limited part of that glowing effulgence is covered by material energy. That's that lower left corner. That's the Mahatattva. And as you see within the Mahatattva, there's Mahavishnu through the clouds. Just as a part of the sky is covered by a cloud. Within this material energy, that's Mahavishnu expanding innumerable universes. In each universe, there are innumerable material planets, and the Earth is one of these planets. Just see how insignificant we are. You've heard this one before? Anyone not heard this one before? I'll say it again because it's nice. I heard this from Satsrup Maharaj one morning walk. Prabhupada was having a morning walk in New York City, and Brahmananda, who was the president of 26 Second Avenue, which is a little storefront, but he's in charge of whatever happened in ISKCON, New York, was speaking with Prabhupada saying, how am I to remain humble? I have so much service and so much respect and so much this and that. How am I to remain humble? Prabhupada stopped, put his cane down on the sidewalk, and then described this. The spiritual sky is unlimited, and in that vastness of the unlimited spiritual sky, there's unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and amongst those unlimited Vaikuntha planets, there's one Krishna Loka shaped like a lotus upon which Krishna resides. And then in some corner of that vast spiritual sky, there's a cloud. of material energy. Within that cloud of material energy, Mahavishnu is reclining. And from that Mahavishnu, in that cloud and the vastness of the unlimited spiritual sky, he's from the pores of his body expanding unlimited numbers of universes. And of those unlimited universes, this is one of those universes. In one of those universes, there are innumerable planets. Amongst those innumerable planets, there's one planet Earth. Amongst the one planet Earth, there are 7 continents. And one of those continents is North America. And in that continent of North America, there are large countries, one of which is the United States. In the United States, there are 50 states, and one of those states is New York State. In one of those states, New York State, there's one city called New York City. And New York City has millions and millions of people and so many streets. And one of those streets in New York City, in Manhattan, is Mott Street. And you're telling me on Mott Street how you're going to remain humble. So this little section is to help the reader understand how insignificant we are. The glowing effulgence emanating from Krishna Loka is the personal glow of the Lord, meaning his bodily rays, his transcendental body is the Brahmajyoti. And within that Brahmajyoti and the transcendental rays, there's Radha and Krishna. Now, what I think I'm going to do, if you're okay with this, it says I'm going to cover the next 7 paragraphs. I happen to have the book with me. Some of you may also have the book with you. And if you want, you can follow along with text 47. We're just going to go through the paragraphs. After describing Krishna Loka, Prabhupada writes, the Almighty Lord, being full of inconceivable energies, expands himself in various forms and energies. There are forms from his energy as well as forms from his person. He has innumerable energies, and therefore he can do anything and everything he desires. And these things take place immediately with all perfection. His energies are like the heat and light that expands from a fire. The entire cosmic manifestation is nothing but an expansion of his energies. His energies are emanations from him, and therefore the emanations are simultaneously one with and different from him. And we discussed the oneness and difference already, but he's mentioning it again, that repetition sometimes helps get a clear picture of something. Then he's going to use a metaphor, the metaphor of milk and yogurt. The transcendence is compared to milk, and the emanations are compared to yogurt. Yogurt is nothing but milk, but at the same time is different from milk. Yogurt is a milk preparation, but it cannot be used in place of milk. The Lord is also sometimes compared to a tree. The root of the tree is the cause of the trunk. Branches, twigs, leaves, and fruits, yet the trunk is not the fruit. The fruit is not the leaf, nor is the leaf the root. When water is needed, it has to be poured on the root, not on the leaves. Pouring water on the leaves serves no purpose, but pouring water on the root serves all purposes. This is the essence of the philosophy of spiritual culture. Very simple. It's not something new that we haven't heard. It's just one of the ways of the so many ways of presenting the same. You water the root of the tree, etc., etc., etc. Krishna is the root of the tree of existence. So all attention goes to him. And that way, all the other parts of the tree are benefited. All of the entities that emanate from him are benefited. It's an important concept. Krishna Loka is also called Goloka Vrindavan. Beneath this Goloka are Haridam, Maheshdam, and Devidam. Again, Brahma Samhita. Hari, or Vishnu, or Narayan, is the formal expansion of the Lord. Mahesh, Shiva, is the formal energetic expansion of the Lord. And Devi is the Lord's energetic expansion. The living entities are also energetic expansions of the Lord. There are two different kinds of living entities called the liberated souls and the conditioned souls. I mean, this isn't the Bhaktivedanta purpose for the Srimad Bhagavatam, otherwise there were like 15 paragraphs following that. He's just moving on. The planets within the glowing effulgence are called Haridam. On these planets, the predominating deity is Hari, and the predominated deities are the liberated souls. The features of the liberated souls and those of Hari are almost the same, yet Hari is predominator and the liberated souls are predominated. The innumerable planets in Haridam are predominated by different formal expansions of the Lord, and all of them have different names. Be bold. A thoughtful person, mentioned this before, but a thoughtful person is going to want to know where's more to be learned about all this. And he's simultaneously preparing Bhagavatam first canto to answer that question. Here it is, more about this. But it's from Brahma Samhita. The universes within the material energy are called Devidam. And within Devidam, the predominating deity is Vishnu, who is assisted by Brahma and Shiva. Devidam is controlled by the three modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. Vishnu is the incarnation of goodness. Brahma is of passion, and Shiva of ignorance. Brahma creates, Vishnu maintains, and Shiva destroys the material creation. The material creation comes into being by the will of the Lord, and it is again annihilated by his will. But although the universes of the material energy are thus created and annihilated, the planets in Haridam are ever existing. Really quick. Two more paragraphs. The conditioned living entities who wish to enjoy and not serve are given a chance within Devidam to seek liberation. Some of them enter Haridam, some of them enter Maheshdam, and some of them remain within Devidam. Maheshdam is the marginal place between Haridam and Devidam. The impersonalists who want to merge into the existence of transcendence are placed within Maheshdam. Interesting, huh? I'll read it again. The impersonalists who want to merge into the existence of transcendence are placed within Maheshdam. Those who want to remain within the planetary systems of the material universes do so on various planets. But those who want to go outside the material energy can enter Haridam and go either to the various planets there or directly to Krishna Loka. Final paragraph. The system of Bhakti Yoga makes one eligible to enter Haridham. The system of Gyan Yoga makes one eligible to enter Maheshdham. And the system of Karma Yoga obliges one to remain in Devidham and repeatedly be born and die, changing his material covering according to the standard of karma he performs. For us, it's pretty simple. And for new people, it's what's going on. But it's an introductory text. So that's verse 47. Here's some images. Here's from Brahma Samhita. At the bottom is Devi Dham. And above Devi Dham is Mahesh Dham. You can see him. He's right there. Lord Shiva, Mahesh Dham, above Devi Dham. And then you can see on the left Haridham. And at the top of Haridham is Ayodhya. And then there's Goloka Dham. There's a closer image. This is one of those universes with its shell. Here's Lord Shiva. You see on the margin, Mahesh Dham. That's where Lord Shiva, the abode of Lord Shiva. There again, Lord Shiva, Mahesh Dham. And going up, Haridham. Okay. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. This is this oneness aspect of the oneness and difference part. And the advocacy is to understand what is the root of everything. Since the Lord is the root of everything, then the philosophy of bhakti is pouring water on the leaves serves no purpose. We heard that one. And pouring water on the root serves all purposes. Very simple, very easy to understand. And so there's the tree of life, and there's the roots, and by watering the roots, which is where the all life of the tree comes from, then the whole tree becomes nourished. Are you ready? We're going to go back to Godhead. Chapter 48. The moon. Now, again, this is not from Canto 10, Chapter 20. This is taken from 5th Canto. This is Vedic cosmology. Make your head spin for the new person. Listen, the moon, or Chandraloka, is one of the 4 important places of residence of the demigods. Beyond Manasa Lake is Sumeru Mountain. Here's the painting that the lady drew to match this one. On the eastern side of this mountain is the planet Devadhani, where Indra resides, that easterly direction. On the southern side is the planet known as Samyamani, where Yamaraj resides. Eastern, southern. On the western side is the planet known as Nimlochani, the residence of Vayu, the demigod who controls the wind. And on the northern side of the mountain is the moon, which is also known as Vibhavari. Vibhavari Shesha Aloka Provesha, that nice song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. So where does this come from? It comes from 5th Canto. Here's the verse, 5th canto. The sun travels, there's the illustration of our artist lady. The sun travels over all sides of Manasotra mountain in a circle in the 4 directions of Mount Sumeru. So what's Manasotra mountain? Those of you that are not familiar with Vedic cosmology, it's an interesting place. It's a circular mountain. It's a circular mountain on top of which the sun travels. The sun travels on a chariot above Manasotra mountain, moving in a circular clockwise direction. And the different directions, north, south, east, west, is from looking up, down to Mount Sumeru. And Devadani is one of the names. There's other names, but this is one of the names of the abode of Indra. And Samyamani, we're familiar with that. That's the abode of Yamaraj. Nimlochani, the abode of Varuna. And Vibhavari, the abode of the moon god. So those are the 4 directions, looking at Mount Sumeru from a vertical direction, looking down. And Mount Manasotra mountain is a circular mountain surrounding Mount Sumeru, furthest out circular island. And the sun moves above that Manasotra mountain in these 4 directions, circular, moving around and around. So you can see, hopefully, there's an arrow from the text above to what's below. Anyway, there's a little skinny arrow there. There's the chariot of the sun, according to the description in 5th canto. There's an axle that extends from Mount Sumeru horizontally outwards, and the chariot is mounted on that axle, and the wheel of the axle moves along the Manasotra mountain in that clockwise direction, and that's the sun god and his charioteer, moving and moving and moving and moving and moving and moving in a clockwise direction. The sun moves very fast, and because the movements of the sun moves very fast, we have day and night, but we also have another event. It's a detail, it's an important detail. The other event is the Kala chakra. Chakra means disc. Kala means time. So the disc of time, or the disc of time moves slowly in a counterclockwise direction as the sun is moving in a clockwise direction. Do you like science a little bit? You like science? A little bit? So which is it? I'm looking at our knitting girl here. Which is it? Is the sun moving in a clockwise direction? The answer is yes. Or is it moving in a counterclockwise direction? The answer is yes. So when hearing these 2 apparently contradictory things, Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami, could you explain it? Is it this or is it that? And to answer, listen, he says, picture in your mind a potter's wheel that's moving very quickly in a clockwise direction. So the sun is moving in a clockwise direction, 24 hours. And imagine there's ants on that potter's wheel that are moving swiftly in a clockwise direction, and they're moving very slowly in a counterclockwise direction. So both clockwise and very slowly once a year in a counterclockwise direction. And that makes the seasons. In our case, it's 4 seasons by the movements of the sun. The movements of the sun, from your window, can you look out your window and see the sun rising? Take notice. Try. As the seasons move, the sun, because we're in the northern hemisphere, right? And in the northern hemisphere, the sun in the winter starts moving, it rises a little bit further south. And then at the end of that winter season, and it changes over to the end of the winter season, it starts to be spring. It starts to move in the northern direction. The rise movements of the sun. So the sun is moving both clockwise every 24 hours, full cycle. And that's the Kala Chakra, the cycle of time. The chariot is moving in like you see this image, 24 hours, complete cycle. And slowly, counterclockwise. Both. That's the Vedic picture of movements of the sun, which Prabhupada is describing very briefly here. And there's the picture of Mount Sumeru, where this axle is mounted on the top of Mount Sumeru. The wheel of the axle is moving on Mount Sumeru. And the chariot, that's that little board there with the sun shining, that's, resting on the axle. It's a depiction of the movement of the sun, depending on whether you're thinking of every 24 hours or every 360 days or 65 days or whatever it is. Here's another picture. There's the Manasotra mountain. Look at that. And on top of Manasotra mountain, there's a wheel. And the wheel has the center. And that center of the wheel has an axle sticking into it. And the top of the other end of the axle is on top of Mount Meru or Sumeru. And the sun is moving along the axle, both clockwise and counterclockwise. So Prabhupada's just tossing that in for, education purposes. Materialistic persons who worship demigods and forefathers are automatically promoted to the moon, where they enjoy soma, a celestial beverage. In the Orient, in the East, not everybody, but it's very common to worship ancestors. You may remember in the second class, I mentioned there's a group of a minority group in mainland China called Dong. And they worship nature. And one of the things they do is before they eat every meal, they offer to their ancestors. So according to the Bhagavatam, according to this light of the Bhagavat, such persons, they're promoted to the moon, where they enjoy soma, a celestial beverage. So, it's piety to honor the ancestors in this way. Well, so there's a full moon. Prabhupada writes, the moon is too cold for the inhabitants of this earth, and therefore ordinary persons who want to go there with earthly bodies are attempting to do so in vain. Meaning you can't stay there. You can wear a multi-million-dollar spacesuit and walk around for a while, but you can't stay there. It's too cold. And other things. Its atmosphere is not suitable. So rather than pursue this tasteless shadow of heavenly life, there's the alternative. Such great personalities ultimately attain the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead predominates and where there is no death, no birth, no old age, and no disease. Remember, he's winding up the whole of the light of the Bhagavad. And that's the last slide for light of the Bhagavad. And this evening, I already told you what I plan to do this evening for the Sunday program, with a few more people in the temple room than we see right now, is go through a quick summary of what Light of the Bhagavad is and how it came to be. This nice little video of the rainy season, Kavi Karnapur's explanation of it, and describe, well, here's the next slide. The Tej festival. The Tej festival is a rainy season festival, but I'm not going to let you read it because we'll see it tonight. Hare Krishna. Stay tuned. Okay, it's a 11:45. So we have 40 minutes. Just some appreciation. Turn the light on if you would. Light of the Bhagavad. How is Prabhupada ending Light of the Bhagavad? It's not chapter 20. It's it's mind expanding message about going back to Godhead and Vedic cosmology in the spiritual realm, the material and spiritual realm, both of which are from the Supreme Lord. And he's advocating, don't just hang out in the material realm. It's vast and far beyond our experience, even our imagination. But here's the information from the Vedas, from the Bhagavad, Light of the Bhagavad. And rather than something temporary, seek that which is eternal. So, as long as people are with him, he's going to take them by the hand and at least point the way to the spiritual world and invite them come along with him to the spiritual world. And by the very medium of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which goes back to the title of the book, which comes from the verse in Canto 1, Chapter 3, where after Krishna's departure, people in this age of Kali will get light that's as bright as the sun, as brilliant as the sun, from this Srimad Bhagavatam. What inspired Prabhupada to pick these last two verses? I don't know, other than what I just said, because it's definitely, departure from chapter 20. But the part that does make sense is he wants people to understand, because they have some sense in Eastern culture of worshiping ancestors. And where do those who worship the ancestors go? One might think you worship the ancestors, you go to Pitri-loka. But Pitri-loka is not the place that they go. Pitri-loka has another process to get to Pitri-loka. They go to the moon. And what do you do when you go to the moon? Somarasa. But don't go for Somarasa, go for the spiritual world. Very interesting. He obviously thought very deeply. I mean, he was moving quickly, because from January until May to get the book published and everything, that's not a lot of time to write all this text and make it so that it's what you want to say. And, it's not easy. But he was empowered. So how eloquently and elegantly and powerfully, boldly, creatively, masterfully, he presented what he presented for a particular audience, within the boundaries of what he felt would, mission accomplished by providing this text. And he didn't stop there. He kept writing and kept writing and kept writing and kept writing. He was a literary person. He was recognized the very first day when we described how it came to be, what he did before he was living at Radha Damodar Temple. How it came to be that his literary gift was already recognized by many, and many wanted Prabhupada to help them. Anyway, we went through all that. And it just wasn't working out for different reasons. One of the persons who was particularly encouraging him in his mission was his sannyas guru. But his sannyas guru, Keshava Maharaj, was also inviting Prabhupada to assist him in editing the publication that Bhakti Siddhanta had assigned to him. So Prabhupada for some time helped him in editing, but his mission was more than editing. His mission what his mission was. And he was very focused on his mission. He was doing other things in between, serving the Vaishnavas and all those nice things. Inspiring this one, inspiring that one. Getting assistance, some assistance from this one, some assistance from that one. Some no's from some other people. But, very focused on his mission. And so it's maybe a little easier to appreciate, depends, to appreciate Prabhupada as a preacher, because he, is traveling around the world so many times and giving so many classes and leading projects and, gurukulas and farm communities and temples and training devotees and dealing with problems and, all those functions, administrative functions, expansion functions, lectures, meeting people. I mean, what a powerful acharya. But his special gift was his writing, because he understood and said it. After his departure, his books will stand. He once said, even if one day all the temples are closed, there will always be my books. So it's so important. I mean, it's a nice time to say this message, because what's coming up is the book distribution marathon and Gita Jayanti, Gita distribution marathon. And some devotees don't participate, and many devotees participate. Just a little sharing. On my way back from Vrindavan, I had an arrangement to meet somebody that lives in Delhi. So as we were going to the rendezvous place, somebody stopped us at a stoplight, and it was a devotee having 2 Bhagavad Gitas in his hand. It was at night. It was cold in Delhi, and he was selling books at a street corner. They're way ahead of us. Look at their book distribution scores for the book marathon. They're way up there. And they're very dedicated. Just a young man. I don't know. I never met him before, but that's one of the ways. It's not the only way. It's one of the important ways, not just to propagate Krishna consciousness, but to further the mission. Anyone can do it. So by appreciating what's in the books will certainly help us feel inspired to distribute the books. And the vision of our founder Acharya, what we've been hearing, it's so expansive. So powerful. And all those other things mentioned, very bold. And cut through the dark well of household life and so on and so on. Completely new audience. All the way up to, the mood of loving and separation of the gopis and everything in between, cosmology. And we've been given a great treasure. We're distracted, but we've been given a great treasure. And the process of, as we're doing, process of hearing from our founder Acharya, his words, many cases just reading his words, embellishing a bit, but just hearing his words, it has a very significant effect. As mentioned, the Acharyas about this type of discussion say it serves as stimulations of our ecstatic love for Krishna. Just doing what we've been doing. We're very covered. But supposing somebody's like Srivas Pandit, hearing from an impersonalist scholar, Devananda Pandit, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, he's rolling on the ground in ecstasy. We're not rolling on the ground in ecstasy. But the stimulations of ecstatic love are there nonetheless. The opportunity is not diminished. Hearing directly from an exalted pure devotee, very, very powerful person that changed the direction of the world. Did and is. And through the main medium is through his books. So hearing, discussing, encouraging others, slowly, reviving our original Krishna consciousness. Okay, so let's see if there's some sharing this particular question I was asking. I don't know how you might respond to this question with this section we just covered, but something that you heard that may help you in your bhakti progress, or something that you feel might help you in your sharing the knowledge of devotional service with others. We got the microphone ready for whoever wants to volunteer.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I have one comment and one sharing. The comment is on the movement of the sun, which you just mentioned. So the two.
She's been studying cosmology like anything. Go ahead.
Sure. So under the influence of Kala Chakra, the wheel of the time, both the background stars and the sun move in a clockwise direction.
Yes.
And this movement is once a day.
Yes.
And it's with regard to Bhumandala, which is
yes.
Earth. And
yes.
At the same time, if we take the background stars as the reference, looking at the movement of the sun, then the sun, this movement is a counterclockwise direction, and it is once a year.
Yes.
And this is the sun's own movement.
Yes.
That's it.
That's correct. You're just restating what the Bhagavatam teaches, and the answer is yes, that's correct.
Yes, just want to kind of summarize.
When Antar Dweep, did I send you that little video of Antar Dweep describing the universe? He made a little video and narrates it. Did I send that to you?
Maybe.
Maybe. I can send it to you again. Remind me and I'll send it to you again. So in that video, when he shows the movement of the sun, he makes a remark. He makes a real, just drops the remark and moves on. But the remark shows the sun is moving on the Kala chakra, but it looks like the chariot is moving backwards. And he remarks, the chariot is moving clockwise, but it's actually, the horses are out front, and then there's the chariot driver, and then there's the passenger, the sun, and it's moving backwards. Most chariots don't move backwards, but the sun chariot moves backwards. And that's how he's depicted it anyways, in his little video. It's really simple, but what you said is what the Bhagavatam teaches, yes. What else?
The others, as a sharing, I think I used to think about a spiritual practice as something that is quite noble or sublime, and also mystical in a way.
Yes.
And it's kind of, you go to a secluded place surrounded by saint-like people, and every day you talk about high philosophy or very celebrated conduct. And then it turns out that later I find that wherever I go is the same ordinary life that that is experienced. That's to say, there is no huge gap between spiritual practice and material practice, between religious organization and secular organization. It is, you are working with people and working on projects in a similar way.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, those people, and they have different goals.
Yeah,
and
that's the issue.
And I think sometimes we may tend to be discontented with our situation, and we kind of trying to expect an unusual encounter, an unusual experience, or unusual attainment, so that we can be extraordinary in some way. And this is perhaps why some people are looking forward to yogic perfection or impersonal existence, so that they can get rid of that feeling of discontentment. And but when we look at Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the most intelligent and the most experienced person, what he relishes the most is actually the ordinary human-like life. And I think he and personal relations.
Yes.
And by personal relations, I mean there are some people that we care about, and when thinking about them, it brings smiles on our face. And also, there are people that care about and nourish us. And so I think accepting that we are ordinary and recognizing that we actually want personal relations is an uplift in human spirit.
Very thoughtful. As you were speaking, I was thinking of one of the verses that we quoted during this presentation. The verse that, remember that image of Lord Chaitanya meeting Ramananda Roy, and they're sitting together by the bank of the river Godavari, and Lord Chaitanya asking Ramananda Roy, what's the goal of life and the means to achieve it? And he offers different suggestions from scripture. Finally, Lord Chaitanya accepts one, which is you paraphrased, or is stane statak, means you stay in your position. You stay in your position makes it look ordinary. So when you think of sadhu sangha, it's, the image that you described is the image that go off to a secluded place where you have a little cottage and there's others doing this austere life and discussing high topics, and that's all they do. And that's sadhu sangha. And the shape of it doesn't have to look like that. The shape of it can be whatever it is. Stane statak. Shrutigatam tandavan mano. So the externals may look the same. The consciousness is what changes. And then, as you put it, relationships, transcendental relationships, those particularly important are those from whom one hears and receives, etc. And those are the most meaningful ones. And then there's other relationships that are also important because they're important to Krishna, and we want to do that which is important to Krishna, but we make very strong and secure those spiritual exalted soul relationships in our life, and receive and give. So that what it looks like externally can look very much like material life. But the difference between material and spiritual is the same as what Prabhupada was saying in this Light of the Bhagavad. It's just kind of reviewing, but that which is from Krishna has a potential, when connected in service to Krishna, to be uplifting. And what's at the center is the topics of Krishna and the consciousness of Krishna, and utilizing whatever it is we're utilizing in service to Krishna. And that's our life. The more consciously we can do like that, the more we're going to make progress and be able to realize Krishna's presence always, become attached to him, become conscious of him all the time. Yeah. Nice. Thank you for your thoughtful sharing. That was very nice. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danvat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. I had a question. So the people who go to Brahma Jyoti, they go to Mahesh Dhama, right?
That's what Prabhupada said, and you probably noticed I made some sound vibration like, But that's what Prabhupada wrote. Now, it begs the question, is there some relationship between the Brahma Jyoti and Maheshdam? Is that where this question is going?
Yeah, I mean, I for me also it was something new. So
it was something new for me too.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
We're not used to hearing that, to say it that way.
Yeah.
Those who are impersonalists, that's their aspiration. Their aspiration is oneness. And so they're awarded that experience according to their aspiration. because they're not taking shelter of Krishna and service to Krishna, but they want this other idea of oneness, and so they have a destination, the oneness destination, the Brahmajyoti. That's what we're accustomed to hearing. But that's not a permanent situation either. Why? Because they haven't taken shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, so they come down. Now, they hear that their destination is Maheshdam. I'd have to research it further. Like Prabhupada didn't pull it out of the air. There must be some reference source that says like that, and I'm not familiar with the reference source that says like that. So if you want to explore that topic, I'm not prepared to give you the scriptural references that supports that statement.
Right. Okay. Another question I had is, so just to clarify my understanding, so the sun is moving in a clockwise direction and the Kala Chakra is moving anti-clockwise. So sun is like...
No, the Kala Chakra is moving clockwise.
Okay.
And the chariot is moving counterclockwise.
Okay, so ant is like sun and the Kala Chakra is clockwise.
Let's do this metaphor so that you can understand. Let's hear from Shukadev Goswami how he answers your question, which is answering Maharaj Parikshit's question.
Right.
So Shukadev says, picture a potter's wheel that's spinning very quickly in a clockwise direction. That potter's wheel is Kala Chakra moving in a clockwise direction. And picture there's some ants that are moving very slowly in a counterclockwise direction. And in the course of 1 year, they make a complete revolution around that potter's wheel, the Kala Chakra. So the movement of the sun is both clockwise and counterclockwise, using that metaphor. So now go ahead and say something further.
Yeah, so sun is moving faster, so it is moving clockwise.
The Kala Chakra is moving faster. The Kala Chakra is moving faster, and the sun is mounted on Kala Chakra. So as Kala Chakra is moving, he's moving.
Okay. So sun is actually moving anti-clockwise.
The sun is moving,
is...
the Kala Chakra is moving, and therefore the sun is moving. But at the same time, one can say the sun is moving, the sun is moving counterclockwise while Kala Chakra is moving clockwise.
Which is faster, so we can see daily movement.
That's daily,
of
24 hours.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah, thank you so much. And overall, I wanted to thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for such enlightening.
Let's thank our founder, Acharya. I just put some pictures together with the words.
Yeah, and for me personally, I feel that the desperation that Prabhupada had, that's what I need to inherit, that desperation.
Well, desperation is a nice word. How about like determination and enthusiasm? He wasn't exactly desperate, because desperate kind of means like life or death. His life would go on even if nobody said yes. But it was, an unbridled enthusiasm, impelled
he
by.
was like also like, now or never. Let's give them so that.
Well, that's desperation again. It's not now or never. He was moved. He was propelled by an instruction. That instruction was in his heart, and his heart was moved by that instruction because he was a from the heart person. That relationship with Bhaktisiddhanta was his life and soul, and he did things accordingly. So I'm a little uncomfortable with the desperation or life and death kind of language.
Okay. It's determination.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gave himself everything right to the last minute.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
It wasn't desperation. It wasn't desperation. It was love.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I'm very happy and humbled to be in your association for the first time, you speaking directly. I heard about your preaching and glories from different devotees, including my spiritual master, His Divine Grace Giriraj Swami. This morning, Maharaj, you mentioned a very inspiring idea of whatever we hear, if we can try to pass that knowledge to someone new. Maharaj,
Not even necessarily someone new, just someone that's not in the four walls. It can be a friend. It can be another devotee. It can be who doesn't have to be somebody new, my point. New is nice. Not new is nice. Both are double nice.
Maharaj, I wanted to humbly request if you could inspire us and give us some of your tips, advice, inspiration that you have acquired. Especially in my situation, I work in a corporate setting, interacting with people. And sometimes I may not know how to even bring the topic of Krishna consciousness to a friend or a colleague in a work situation. Wanted to hear from you, Maharaj, if you have any practical advice, given your journey of cultivating people, traveling, developing communities, and interacting with all different levels of people. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for opening that door. Now, having had Zippo experience in corporate world, but lots of experience in presenting Krishna consciousness to people I don't know, I would say there's three things. Be trustworthy. And that's, unpack what trustworthy means. Be a person of good character. That's part of being trustworthy, but consistently be a person of good character. And that means when there's a cause for getting irritated or disturbed or angry or et cetera, you don't do that. You just continue to be a person of good character. Even when provoked, you just continue being a person of good character. Now, when people see that, when it's consistent, something happens. Several things happen, like this person is different. And, they start to trust a person that's consistently of good character. And then different things can happen. Here's one of the things that can happen. People have a calamity, and they go to that person who's trustworthy, and they share their calamity, seeking, what should I do? So you don't have to go to them. You just be a person of good character, and they'll come to you. I mean, sometimes, because calamity is always there. Hardship, something unexpected. And then when that circumstance happens, be careful. Don't go 10 yards, just take one step, depending upon the person. A second point is, with those same two prerequisites, you're wishing to give. You're wishing to be an instrument. And Krishna will prompt you. Circumstances will become clear. Here's an opportunity. And then you just be cautious. You don't go 10 yards, you go one step. Because what's important in sharing is relationship, where you're not pushing, you're not converting, you're not thising and thatting. You're being the person of good character. Now, Prabhupada was a sannyasi, and he was bold, and he had a certain personality and a certain shakti, so he could do things that many people couldn't do. So we don't imitate, but we can, appreciate. He is carrying something inside, and he's looking for opportunities to share it. And he would find some ways to share it, where it's not, the other person isn't feeling confrontation. You're coming on confrontationally with them. Like, I'm up here, you're down there, condescending. So just being an instrument. If that's the consciousness that you have, then Krishna will give opportunities. And then you'll better know what to say when the opportunity arises than if you're, trying to twist people's arms or convert people or change them or something like that. Just be an instrument, a humble instrument. Your Guru Maharaj is a perfect example. I mean, you probably know that about him personally, but I know that about him personally. Very gentle. And, very reliable. And, he garners trust of others. So when he speaks, people will listen. That's his nature. It has nothing to do with ashram. It has to do with his personality, his character. So, model yourself after him. The ashram is different. Your circumstance is different. That's okay. The principle doesn't change. So you've already got a great role model. And I'm sure he has many disciples, and you look at his many disciples of how they model what he does and from his ashram and his personality, and keep association with those like-minded persons who inspire you, and you see they're a nice example. And that those 2 points can turn people that are opposed 180 degrees around. I can give you some stories, but it softens hearts. And when the calamity comes, they come to that person who is of good character and trustworthy, and they pour out their heart and say, I'm upside down, I'm hanging by my ankles. You're very calm, you're a special person. What would you recommend for me? I mean, I'm thinking of some specific examples. One co-worker said, my husband was just diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer. There's nothing he can do. What should I do? And the person who was being asked said, I don't know if you want to hear. No, tell me. Said, I'm a Krishna devotee. And I recommend turning to Krishna, and recommending turning to Krishna by turning to those who are very dear to Krishna. Said, I'm ready. Because they were upside down, hanging by the heels. And here's this person they've demonstrated wonderful character and trustworthiness. I'll give it a try. I'm upside down. Nothing to lose. Anyway, and there was a beginning from a person that was absolutely inimical. But just by character, their heart softened. So you just pray to Krishna for some opportunity. I mean, you have your circumstance and other people have their circumstance. I'm thinking specifically because I just got this communication from somebody, a freshman, I won't say what college, but a very prestigious college. and a workload that's, up to here, and they're barely able to, maintain. But they're really nice devotees. So, long story short, Krishna sent them some other devotee association at their university. 3 of them got together to form a club. And now they're going to not only do their sadhana, but extend Krishna consciousness to others. And the best thing they can do to extend Krishna consciousness to others, along with good character, is do really well in school. In a really competitive school. You're not going to attract smart students if you're doing crummy in school. You have to excel in school, but they'll excel in school, and they'll be turbocharged because they're doing it for Krishna, to give Krishna to others. So it's just like it builds. Then they can be an instrument. And however gets touched, that's whoever gets touched. But if you have that desire to be an instrument, Krishna will use you as his instrument. It may not happen like with Prabhupada, when reading. It doesn't happen. It doesn't necessarily happen presto. But you want to be an instrument, and Krishna will use you as his instrument. That's how. Your business is good character and be trustworthy consistently, as far as possible, because we're defective beings. I'm looking at my watch, and the 11:30 bell is ringing.
A question in Zoom.
A Zoom question. You want a Zoom?
Before, I don't know if it goes, but we'll try.
Read slowly.
No, actually, she wants to speak.
Who?
Rangamata.
They can speak. You don't have to put it. Will come.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Subhadra. I had a question about you were speaking earlier about good character, and that's how you can kind of draw people to Krishna consciousness. So I've had this problem where I didn't have the best of character back when I was a kid, and now I'm in my teenage years, and I'm trying to develop that good character, but people only remember the bad stuff and not the good stuff. So I wanted to know, how could I kind of fix the situation?
Smile. Smile from the inside. That is to say, the past is the past. You know the past is the past, and you're working on going forward. So smile, go forward. Take responsibility. We own the responsibility for our past choices of speech and conduct. And, the circumstances were what the circumstances were, and your nature was what your nature was, and all that's in the past. So learn from the past and move forward with a smile. So if you keep looking towards the light, it'll get brighter and brighter. Keep moving look towards the light and keep moving towards the light. And whatever is the past, people will recognize, wow, she's changed. It's not like your business is to have people change their view of you. Your business is to move towards the light. And people are going to have their opinions all across the spectrum of opinions. That's not your responsibility. That's not your success. Your success is you move towards the light. And smile, because you're moving towards the light. You know you're heading in the right direction with good association, with good guidance. Whatever are those resources that have helped you recognize that you made some mistakes and you want to correct them, whatever those resources are that helped you get that realization, continue keeping close connection with those resources and keep moving towards the light and smile. Everybody makes mistakes. You're not the only one, Subhadra. Okay, we're going to end.
One more.
What?
we never gave chance for Zoom, so.
Okay, go ahead. One more.
So, Tarini Radha Mataji's.
Who?
Tarini Radha
Oh,
Mataji.
okay, okay.
Guru Maharaj, one of the themes that came up was the importance of Sadhu Sangha. Please, can you shed more light on how I can deepen my connection with spiritual personalities who are giving this knowledge?
That's a seminar. How Sadhu Sangha may make itself available to a Vaishnav, a very nice resource for you to look at, every one of us, is Chaitanya Charitamrita, because it's filled with varieties of examples of Sadhu Sangha and how Sadhu Sangha impacted different persons in different ways. Therefore, because of that diversity, I would say the most important thing is the question itself. That is, recognizing that Lord Chaitanya said 3 times, it's the most important thing. Sarva Siddhi Hoy, perfection will come. So it's so important. And you may not know what exactly and how and so forth. Just keep asking the question, read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you'll get lots of answers. And like this earlier question about presenting Krishna consciousness in the corporate atmosphere, Krishna will give you opportunity for sadhu sangha. Don't expect that it's going to be always the same. It's going to be diverse, and that's just fine, because that's the diversity is joyful. It's the world we live in. So be seeking the principle, and being a little discerning about this. This seems to be the best categories of sadhu sangha to suit my nature, at least at this particular time. And you go for that. And you're doing that anyways. So just continue doing that. Krishna will guide you. You have some question, you can ask me. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a breakout session today?
No, Guru Maharaj, we are done for.
Oh, boo.
So most of the devotees are already left, and in this session, the devotees are here, are just like today, most of you.
Yeah, okay.
So what we can do is we can share this as a assessment or something like that, the process which we prepare.
How about this?